I don't know if I'm going to have a fierce debate now because he's such a good guy. I always want to have a fierce debate with him, but we never quite manage it. A warm welcome to the chief political correspondent of The Independent, John Rentoul. Hi, John.
I just have to say Tony Blair was the finest peacetime prime minister.
Don't you dare say that. And then we're off. Yeah. Well, let's not go down that road. I want to talk about Angela Rayner's New Deal for Workers, which has got some good elements in it. I would suggest there are some balmy elements in it as well. She wants to get rid of zero-hour contracts, despite the fact that there are a fair few workers who quite like zero-hour contracts. The Labour Party has a tendency to think no one wants to ever go to work. Oh, if we get you a 4-day week, what about people who want to do 5 days a week? Anyway, the most silly aspect of it is she wants to ban bosses from phoning their staff or contacting their staff outside of working hours. That's frankly ridiculous, but I'm sure there are some good elements to it. However, the story is this is her cherished plan. Obviously, she's rather beleaguered at the moment. She's got a few domestic issues to sort out. But the word is that Keir Starmer, who's getting real as the prospect of government comes ever closer, that he wants to water it down, that him and Rachel Reeves are listening to business. I give them credit for this, by the way. And bosses are saying this new deal for workers isn't good for British business. It's too stringent. Can we cut back on it? And the word is Keir's kind of saying, sure, this will not please Angela, will it?
No, it won't. I mean, it's a very good summary of exactly what's been going on, Kevin. I mean, Angela Rayner has promised that this new deal for workers, as she calls it, is going to come in the first 100 days of a Labour government. Now, of course, that means that you have these Labour squirrels have been working on what that actually means in practice, and as you say, consulting business about it, and have realised that there's all sorts of practical problems. And so the FT has been reporting quite accurately, I think, that most of it is going to be subject to consultation, and it probably isn't going to be happening in the first 100 days after all.
When she comes up with an idea, I suppose it's not really fair to micro-analyse her proposal, but when she proposes banning bosses from contacting their staff outside of working hours, it betrays to me, it betrays a complete lack of understanding of the working world.
Well, yeah, the right to switch off, I think she called it. I'm not sure if she originally came up with that one, but it's part of her package of employment rights legislation that she wants to bring in. And we're being told that that's actually going to be guidelines rather than law.
In other words, no one will pay any attention to it.
Well, no, I mean, it won't be completely toothless, but I mean, quite right. You can't legislate for that kind of behaviour at that kind of level of detail. It'd be very
funny. It'd be very funny for people like you and I, journalists.
Yeah, can you imagine?
The
breaking news story, and my editor's not allowed to phone me to say what do you think about it.
Could you write a story? No, I'm sorry, it's after 8 o'clock, sort of thing. So I mean, I think that is absurd. But I do think what's encouraging about this is that Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer are getting real. This is the New Deal for Workers is a classic proposal by an opposition party. In government, you have to be more realistic. And Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, on this note, I think are taking an encouraging approach.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much left, Kevin, of of the Labour programme under Jeremy Corbyn, but I think this is a bit of a leftover. Because actually, I mean, the last Labour government didn't need to do any of this stuff, and actually had quite a good record on employment relations and employment law. You get an awful lot of Corbynite types who bang on about Margaret Thatcher's anti-trade union laws and all that. But actually, it worked pretty well under New Labour. And a lot of these things sort of sound marvellous in sort of left-wing caucuses, but I mean the right to switch off, it sounds great, but it's not practical, and so they've got to drop this. And obviously, you know, the protection from unfair dismissal sounds like a great thing, but actually, if you give people that right to protection from unfair dismissal from day one of employment, that is going to make an awful lot of employers think twice about hiring people.
Exactly.
So you've got to have some kind of flexibility around that.
And I think that's what bosses have been telling Starmer and Reeves, and they've listened. Do you think? I mean, to cite your hero, is Starmer the heir to Blair?
Well, he's getting there. I don't think he is instinctively Blairite, and I mean, in the way that Tony Blair could just sense politics. He could just sense where the British people were. Yeah. Issue. And I don't think Keir Starmer's got that. I think he's got the instincts of a North London Liberal lawyer, which is some distance away from the British people. But he understands that he has to get to where the British people are, and yeah, it takes him some time on some subjects, but he gets, you know, he tends to get there in the end. And you know, I've got to say, you know, that this is another example of progress being made in the right direction.
I agree with you. I mean, you know, I'm not thrilled by the prospect of Keir Starmer's government, but I think his behaviour, I mean, with lots of exceptions, but his behaviour over the past few months is encouraging. He looks like a man who wants to be a serious Prime Minister, a proper Prime Minister.
He's ruthless. He's taking advantage of the fact that Angela Rayner is weakened at the moment because of her difficulties with the taxman or whatever else it is, the electoral register. Nobody can quite work out what the problem is, but there is a problem there, and he's quite ruthlessly exploiting that and just barging into her territory and saying, look, you can't do that. You know, all this brave talk is going to have to be adjusted to meet reality.
Just to quickly touch on Angela's problems, I mean, yeah, as you say, Keir Starmer isn't just a lawyer, he's the former Director of Public Prosecutions. He knows the law inside out. Don't you find it suspicious that he's going out of his way not to look at Angela's her alleged evidence?
It's absolutely extraordinary. I remember the moment you said that in an interview, that his team had seen it, but he hadn't seen it. I thought, oh, there's something going on there. I mean, he clearly doesn't want to see it because he has seen it and he's read it and he knows it's just a pile of problems. He does not want to be responsible for it.
I think the phrase is plausible deniability, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very intriguing situation. Thank you very much, John. Really good to talk to you again. Come on again soon. That's John Rentoul, the excellent chief political correspondent at The Independent.